drafting worldwide, wide. Welcome back to the Revit Garage project. In the last video we went through and we added some different features. This earth, the gravel, we did those in regions, brought in some patterns from AutoCAD, drew some other detail components. We're just going to continue to go through and do a little bit more of those. I'm going to show a little bit more gravel right here, so I'll just do another filled region. So it's another look at that. This time I'm just going to do a real quick little rectangle like this, and I'll take that out slightly past, and I'm going to choose, now I'll have gravel as an option there. So at some point it would be a good idea to take this file and create a template file so all those things are already included. And I'm going to change my line types, select them to escape. I'm going to change those to invisible lines. Hit OK, and I'm going to have to edit that boundary. Select those one more time, change those to invisible lines, and say OK. Now I have some gravel underneath the slab as well. The next thing that I want to show is the finished grade coming away from the building or sloping away from the building. And this is just how the ground will be finished whenever we're all done with the building, backfilled, leveled out. So I'm going to click detail line. For this one I'm going to use a wide line, and I'm just going to start that right about there, and I'm going to take it out to here, and as you can see it's just sloping away from that a little bit. So I got most of the things that I need taken care of down here. I can also come in here. Now the only other thing is, if I was having a finished basement, I would probably have some insulation in here as well. This would obviously be bigger. The height between the floor and the footing for the foundation, the slab would probably be down here, but for the garage this is what we have. So the next step really is to come into this area right here, and I'm going to add my plate here, which would be called my sill plate, because or my sole plate, depending on which way that we want to look at it. And I can do that by going to annotate, and then this time instead of doing a region I'm going to do a detail component, and then the ones that default are this W section, which is actually a beam, the look of a beam. So I'm going to load family, and it's going to start me out in this US Imperial. In here I'm going to click on detail items, and then it breaks down into the CSI 16 division, or however many divisions they have it broken into now. But basically I want to go into wood and plastic division 6. I'm going to do wood framing, and I'm going to do nominal cut lumber section. So it's a lot of clicking just to get that thing. I'm going to say OK, and then they have all different kinds of sizes in here. So what you're really looking for is the size of your stud, which is 2x4, and I say OK, and then it gives you this, basically what would represent cutting through a plate. So I can just hit my space bar to flip it around, different views, 90-degree increments, get it in the right place, drop it there, and I'm also going to end up with one underneath the window there. And I'm going to do something a little bit different above the window. I'll have one that way, and then I'll probably end up with a header that will do something like this. And then I'll flip that one to box all that in like that. So that's showing a structural header over top of this window. Hopefully I have this window at the correct height. And then at the top of my wall, I'm going to have 2 of these for my double top plate. Oops. And let's say I get it in the wrong place, because this one doesn't want to snap to the place I want it to go. So I'm going to say I just got it in the wrong place. I can very easily come in here, click Align, select what I want to align to, and then do the same thing in that direction. I can lock those in place there. So now I have my double top plate. I have a header right there. Let's see, what else do I have? I have my sill for my window, and then I have my sill plate that sits on top of the blocks, the bottom of the wall. If I did not have this window, if I didn't cut through this section, then I would not be showing any of these items. It would just be my sill plate and then my double top plate. So now back up to this view right here, I have this situation going on where this floor is basically sitting on top of this wall, and what I really want to do is I want to show this. I don't want to see this line right here, and I don't want to see that line right there. So what I can do to kind of hide those and show that the floor is coming the whole way over here is, this is a 2x10, I do believe. So if I looked at the floor and look at this and see that it's made up of 9 1/4 2x10s. So before I do anything, I'm going to put the rim joist on there, which is what the ends of the joist is covered up with. So I'm going to go back to Annotate, and I'm going to choose a component, and I'm going to look at my nominal cut lumber, and I'll go ahead, and it's not giving me what I want, so I'm going to have to load family and nominal cut lumber section, and I'll come down here and find a 2x10, which is 9 1/4 by 1.5 inches. Say OK, and it looks like I have to actually select that over there, and then I'm going to drop it on. I'm going to drop it right there. Again, use my align tool and align it to that location. Now this joist would actually run the whole way over here. This line would not be here. This wall is attached to this roof, so it's kind of making this look goofy. So what I'm going to do to hide this, I'm going to go back to Annotate, and this time I'm going to look at my region, and I'm going to do a masking region. And I'm going to make these invisible lines, so you can choose your line style first, and then I'm just going to do a rectangle, and I'm going to just zoom in on this. I'm going to do a rectangle over the part of this line I want to disappear, and click right there, and I'm going to try doing 2 rectangles at once, see if that will let me do that. I want that part of the line to disappear as well, but I want this line to remain. So I say OK, and now whenever I look at this, it just basically took that line out and left that as a masked region. So that is a couple little tricks to do some different things with that. I'd probably end up having to do the same thing here, so maybe instead of creating another one, I just edit that boundary, and once again come in right there and kind of hide this one. I'm kind of eyeballing that, and this is really where we say we're kind of fudging things, and Revit doesn't have a lot of great ways to make these sections look exactly how they're supposed to, so you kind of have to fudge some of these kind of things. Right there we have a thin line and a medium line. I could come back in if I wanted to, choose a medium line and draw it from there to there. Looks like that's not a medium line, maybe a wide line, and that just looks a little bit better right there. Most of the other things we're going to come in here and do actual, and this is represented by a rafter frame instead of a truss, because I have a full second floor on this one. So for a truss one, we'll do a slightly different example of this. Most of the other things that we're going to do in here are going to end up being just detail lines. Most of the components that we're putting in are good, and then in the last video we'll go through and we'll annotate all of these things. So the next one, I can just start drawing some of my final components for this roof right here. So I'll do a detail line. I'm going to leave it as a medium line. And out here, I'm going to just kind of step away from that a little bit. And I'm going to draw this to represent my fascia. And then I'm just going to draw another line that kind of tucks that back in there. Actually, we'll start back here, detail line, and I'll just have that extend out past a little bit and do that. And that's just going to represent my drip edge. This might come back just a little bit. Just kind of fudging it, making it look good. And I'm going to put a note on there that says that this is my drip edge, this is my metal fascia. Under my metal fascia, I might have to drag that down a little bit. Under my metal fascia, I'm going to have my soffit. So I'm going to draw a line from there to there, tuck that in, maybe just move this up a little bit, kind of in there. None of these are accurate, but if I drew them exactly how they would be, I wouldn't be able to see them in this view. So the only other thing, I want to just have like a little, I want to have a little V in here that represents the cross section of the fascia. So I'm just going to go to my midpoint, I'm going to draw a line up there, draw a line there. I'll mirror this from that point over there, get rid of this one, use my, select this, use my split element, split that line in half, and then just fill it these things like that. And it's kind of giving me a view of a, just drag that down a little bit, of a soffit. And then I can use this split tool, split with gap, and kind of guess where halfway point between there and there would be. And I'm going to split that, split that one, and I don't think either of them worked. Try it one more time. I'm going to use that split it there, and I'm just going to drag this back a little bit. Drag that back a little bit. And I'm going to split this one as well. Hit escape, select that, drag it back. Drag this one back. And that is to represent that this is a vented soffit. So I'm going to have a vented soffit under here. The soffit actually gets nailed at this end, and then this would help hold it up in place too. Back at this end, it's going to get tucked into an F channel. So again, I'll go to annotate, detail line, medium line, and I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to draw an upside down F like that, and then I'll just grab this and move it there. And that F channel is going to hold that in place, and to make it look a little bit more realistic, bring that in a little bit. So those are some of the details for the roof. I'll call those out later. I already have enough lines on here to represent all the different things I need to do for calling out that roof. All these things are looking pretty good down through here. So at this point, all of my detail items are in place, and in the next video I can go through and start annotating this, adding all the notes, cleaning it up, making it look good. I'll turn this thing off right here, and I'm going to double check on my sheet one more time before I stop this. Everything's looking pretty good over here. And in the next video, we'll go through and start adding notes.